Come on, come on. Got it. Hey everybody, welcome back. Geoff Pilkington, Launch TV. Here at Launch TV, we are the future, and the future is Launch TV. That's right. So today we've got some more Mandela effects for you, but then I also wanted to show you a quick illusion, and then I'm going to talk a little bit as well about what I think could potentially be causing the Mandela effect, because everybody's wondered about it for so long, and everybody's speculating about it online, and nobody knows what causes the Mandela effect, but I think I have a pretty good idea as to what it is. So stay tuned. That's coming momentarily. First, please like, please subscribe, please comment. We have fun. You know my channel, you've been here, we have fun at Geoff Pilkington. Kira and I do podcasts as well. It's always fun. Launch TV's the future. More of that coming. Everything is below. Please be sure to like it and subscribe. Thank you all. Let's get going. Okay, the first one is, let's just roll through these real quick. There's Van Gogh. Now there's been a rumor about Van Gogh recently about whether he lost his ear in a fight, the famous painter Van Gogh, or did he cut it off himself? Some people say that he lost it in a fight. There's actually like records of showing him losing in a fight, but then there's other records that show that he actually cut it off himself. Most of the records today show it he did it to himself, but then other people have clear memories of the other way, that this happened in like this strange fight. So let me know what you remember there. Do you remember him losing his ear in a fight, or do you remember him actually cutting it off himself? Because there's a lot of debate online about that. Okay, so that's the first one. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, another one, Cruella De Vil's jacket. There's been a lot of talk about that. What color do you remember Cruella De Vil from 101 Dalmatians? What color do you remember her jacket being? And no, I'm not referencing Carmen Sandiego, which is another one that really gets me. And the Carmen Sandiego one just freaks me out, because Carmen Sandiego's jacket's red, and I always remember it being yellow. Like, that is a big one for me. But Carmen Sandiego, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Her jacket has always been red. I remember it yellow. I don't know why it's red, and I can't handle it. It's just driving me crazy. Cruella De Vil's jacket, people remember it being, they remember it having like black and white polka dot jacket, but now it's yellow. So that freaks people out, because Cruella De Vil's jacket changed, just like Carmen Sandiego's jacket changed, and yellow was involved in both. So Cruella De Vil's jacket went from these black and white polka dots to yellow, which it is now, and Carmen Sandiego's jacket went from being yellow to red, which it is now. So we got jackets hopping around. That's just bizarre. Okay, let's do another one. Let's see. Moneybags did one. He was talking about E.T. Now at the end, when you've got E.T. and you've got Elliott, and you remember the scene where he puts his finger on his forehead and he says, "I'll be right here," okay? Puts his finger on his forehead. However, a lot of people remember him E.T. putting the finger on his heart, putting his finger on Elliott's heart, but he always puts it on his forehead, and that's what he does now. What do you remember? It would make sense to be the heart, right? I'll be right here, like in Elliott's heart. That's what people remember, but now it's the forehead, and it's apparently always been the forehead. Do you remember it being the forehead? Does that seem strange to you? That's what it's always been, but people just think it's strange. They remember it being the heart. Like, what's going on with E.T.? So that's another one. Okay, let's do an illusion real quick. Okay, look at this baseball illusion. Now, is that batter batting left-handed, or is he batting right-handed? Which way do you see it? Because when I look at it, first I saw him batting as left-handed, but then when I looked at it, I was able to switch it to right-handed. Left to right, I was able to switch it back and forth, kind of the way, like when I looked at it differently. It took me a while. It's like that swing illusion and Yanni and Laurel. What about the train illusion? This train, if you focus it going one way with your mind, it'll go one way, and then you can shift it to going the other way with your mind. Can you see the train, the subway train, going both directions? Can you see the batter batting left, and can you see him batting right? Do you see both of these both ways? Can you change it with your mind? You know, it's just like the brainstorm green needle. Remember that? Listen to this. Brainstorm, green needle. Do you hear brainstorm, or do you hear green needle? Because I can switch it back and forth now, but some people can't. Anyway, so that's one audio and two visual illusions, just like Yanni Laurel, just like the swing illusions. We've got visual and audio illusions happening. Now, let's get into real quick what could be potentially causing the Mandela effect. Now, here's the thing. Everybody lives in the present day. We live in present day society 2020, right? Now, there's the past, which some of us remember better than others, and there's the future, which hasn't happened yet. Well, actually now scientists are beginning to realize that you can actually change the past in the present, that the past might be changing within the frame of the present, which is kind of hard to believe. And there's actually a lot of speculation now that time as we know it doesn't actually exist. That time as we know it doesn't actually exist. It's just we theorize that it was that way, but that everything is really just happening right now, like right in the present moment, which would make sense to the degree that let's pretend that the past doesn't exist. Well, if the past doesn't exist, then what are our memories exactly? Well, our memories are what we remember about the past, right? So the past must exist. But if the past doesn't exist, then our memories are just a confabulation of kind of, what we perceived when that was happening within this frame of what we call time. It's kind of just what we remember. And there's beliefs kind of in the, hive mind that we're all kind of connected in some way, and what we talk about and what we see and do is all connected. And if the past doesn't exist, as they're beginning to realize or to speculate about, that it doesn't actually exist, then what we think about or what we remember might be just the result of how we perceive what already happened. And how we perceive what already happened, it could be a fluid history. So it could be fluid how that moves. And until more than one person speculates or comes to agreement that that's what the past was because they have it in physical form, then it hardens. And then you have a real thing. But if a lot of people are speculating that they're not sure what that event was, when you're debating about if you texted someone or the lyrics of the song and you're not sure who's right and you go back in the text and you show that you text them, then the recorded history hardens. So the history may not even be there until it hardens, until you give it the chance to harden where you can physically see it. Those things and what we see as the past, what happened in the past, literally may be just us speculating about what we think it could be. So think about that for a second and take that in, because if it doesn't exist, then it's fluid, right? And actually, if you read about the double slit experiment, do you know the double slit experiment? That's where scientists, a pattern, when the protons and electrons were going through two slits, they behave differently. These protons, electrons behave differently when they were observed. So that's like the concept of hardening, right? Like when it's observed, it behaves in a certain way. But until then, it can be fluid, like the Mandela Effect. So that could be open for movement until you have recorded history of something hardening. And then it becomes the reality. So there's a way that maybe it could be moving in our own brains, that it could just change because history is fluid until it's observed. This goes into simulation theory and the double slit experiment, but I think it has something to do with observing and it hardening in reality and it becoming what it is. And that's why things flip too, because until there's hardened evidence of it, it can always move around as to what it is. Like physics says this. So physics in a way plays into what the Mandela Effect and simulation theory are part of. So it very much could be just that, I know I've talked about false memories and people get mad when I talk about false memories, but I think that this is different than that in that regard, and that I think simulation theory could play in that everything we're seeing is our own perceived perception of what the past was and what we remember and how we perceive it. Until it's hardened, it's fluid. So think about that today. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. And we're gonna learn more and more. And what also, the reason it didn't work in the past is we didn't have technology. We didn't have record of things online where we could fast get to things. We just all kind of accepted that that's what it was, and we didn't. But now that we have phones and texts and the internet, we can see how fluid history is. We're able to record it and realize that things aren't as factual in the past as we once thought. They're actually moving around. So think about that. Geoff Pilkington, Launch TV. Here at Launch TV, we are the future, and the future is Launch TV. Like, subscribe, comment. I want to hear from you on this one. Let's talk more about it. Let's continue to investigate the Mandela Effect. Geoff Pilkington, 2020. We are out.